Once was an Olympic swimmer from Titusville named Johnny Weissmuller. He funded a project called Tarzan Land, a theme park with all sorts of tropical themed attractions along US 1. Sadly, the building of I-95 made US 1 suddenly out of the way and business plummeted. Now, being called Tarzan Land, the attraction was known for its monkeys. All sorts of monkeys. Usually, when a business plummets with monkeys, they are relinquished, meaning given ownership over to a zoo or wildlife reserve. Yet somehow, either through escape or illegal release, monkeys made their home in the forests of Titusville. My father was young when he saw them. He was working for Linux at a bus depot on the corner of Cheney and US 1. He lived there with a few other drivers when they weren't taking church or tourist groups on cross-country trips. That's when they noticed the monkeys. The drivers, wanting to get close, fed the monkeys oyster crackers, and that was the naive beginning of this travesty. Travesty here, meaning bad things happening of a primate nature. The monkeys set up a watch post by flattening a tall, far-off palm tree. A lookout would watch from this flattened tree, see when the drivers left, and then execute their grand scheme. They would break the lock to the back door, sneak into the kitchen, and steal food. Always the oyster crackers. At first, everyone at the bus depot didn't mind. Some even found it adorable. Until the monkeys did something my father could not stand. At the time, he had an Italian car. I cannot remember the make or model. Eventually, it busted and he had to repair the engine and order a part. But he said it was 2 weeks to import the elusive, meaning hard to get, part, and 2 hours to Cocoa and back to pick it up. The night he came back, he began the process of installing it. As he was removing the old part from the bottom of the car, he heard one of his co-workers laugh. He asked what's so funny. The co-worker replied, "One of the monkeys just took something from the front seat." My father immediately knew it was the part. He flew out from under the car and saw the monkey getting away with something in its hand. He chased the monkey down to the watch post, at which point the monkey climbed to the top and started banging the part against the trunk. Now, my dad was livid. He had waited so long, paid so much, drove so far to get that part. So he did the only thing he could. He threw rocks at the monkey, trying to get it to come down. Eventually, though, the monkey put together that the car part was not edible and threw it down to my dad. At that moment, he was determined to end the anarchy created by these monkeys. Anarchy here meaning monkey business. He called animal control at his first opportunity. The next day they arrived. Now, monkeys, not being indigenous to Florida, animal control had never tried to capture one before. If they were indigenous, that would mean we would be surrounded by oyster cracker loving, car part stealing monkeys. Here we are not. In Florida, we are surrounded by the indigenous gators. So they took an alligator trap and baited it with what they felt sure would lure them in: oyster crackers. If you've ever had a rat problem that you want to deal with humanely, you may have seen a similar trap. It's a large metal cage with a door that the animal can crawl through but not back out. My father watched it all. The monkeys investigating to see if it was safe, the leader walking into the trap and realizing that he couldn't leave, the other monkeys angrily trying to free him from the trap, and getting into the animal control car themselves. To be sure, those monkeys never bothered the bus depot again, but my father believes those monkeys were brought to Silver Springs to live out their days.